Here's another little job on the lathe that I wanted to get on with that's been bothering me sometime. I bought a new cross slide, and this is a Myford Speed 10. This is a long slide, and one of the problems I had was the fact that this mark, this fiducial mark here, was in the wrong place. So I dropped this in and offered up a square up to the chuck, and it was showing me I was out by about 1 degree, which isn't a great deal, but it, me being the way I am, it just ate away at me. So what I did was, after carefully looking at that little line there for a while and thinking about the options, what I did think about doing was to maybe fit a vernier style plate that would work with this scale and pin that to the top, but then I'd lose the flatness on the surface, and I wasn't really happy with that. The other alternative was that if this line, there so we can see it, that line there was deep, I would mill out an area and put a brass insert in there and then scribe the insert, so that would mean that I could get more than one bite of the one more bite of the apple, so to speak. Then I'd have a brass plate, and if I got it in the wrong place the first time around, I could always change it. If I wanted to, I could put the vernier scale in to give me more accuracy. In the end, I decided to be brave about it, and the line itself wasn't very deep, so with a bit of localized emery paper, I was able to, because this sits on the very end of the slide, and it's not very likely that I will ever use this bit, so I wanted to keep the thing looking nice, but I didn't want to lose the accuracy. As it was, the line was quite shallow, so what I did was, as I said, localized wet and dry, or emery tape to get rid of the line and cut it back. Then there was some draw filing with emery tape, and then finishing off with some Scotch-Brite. So that way I was able to take the line all the way back, so it gave me a fresh start, because the alternative would have been to just draw a line in there and always remember to myself that I should use the line in what I perceived as the correct spot, but that wasn't going to be very tidy to look at, and it would have annoyed me greatly. So what we did is cut this back to a flat surface and then make a new line. So after offering this base for the top slide, getting that square, looking at where the new line was, using an eyepiece, apologies for the compressor again. So the thing was to get this all lined up, and with an eyepiece is to mark the line. So I did that with a fine point pen. I was using one of these. I think it's a fine point pen to draw down the center line. So I ended up with a line that came down from the center of the mark, roughly square. I think I used the square to set the line from where that mark was. Then I took this part out, offered the square up to where the line, again we're not getting a good angle on that one, there it is, you can just see it there. It's to offer that up to the line. This would have been the black line at the time, and what I would have done was I'd have scribed an initial line over the distance I think that I needed, making sure that this end of the line goes far enough across that it actually sits under the dial itself, but only just so that we've got the neat reference there and it actually ties up, and also back far enough that you can spot it readily rather than it looking like a dirty mark on the plate. Once that was in place, I've marked down the centre of the black line. I was able to clean that off, and then it left me a very fine scriber line. So then this was using a toolmaker's clamp. I clamped this square down to the bed and lined it up with the slot so I could make some slightly deeper scribes. Once I got to a certain point, you're into a, pardon the phrase, you're into a groove. So using the magnification again, I was able to use the scriber just to chase the line out and put a bit of depth to it. So I'm really pleased with this now, is the fact that I was thinking about, to start off with, lots of crazy ideas, as like putting that square in the vise and then machining the dovetail square, but then the screw that goes in the end wouldn't be square then, so there'd be lots of problems with that, and I would have taken over 1.5 millimeters off the fit of this because of the 1 degree angle over the distance. So I didn't really want to do that, because that would compromise the fit and the tightness and snugness of the dovetail, and that would ultimately affect the cutting quality and the strength of the machine. So there we are. I've moved that. It's not gone a long way. I think I moved it around about 0.8 of a millimeter, roughly 1 degree on the scale on the see that? Let's tilt it a bit. The scale on the dial. So I expect there's probably other people out there that have had experience of this, and that's how I managed to do it. So I'm quite pleased with that now. That was been a job that's been waiting to be done for a long time, although it seems relatively simple. Sometimes when you're faced with these things, thinking about all of the options and what's the best course to take, a whole myriad of ideas go through your mind. So there we have it. There's the new fiducial on the top slide for a Myford Speed 10.